Silence is a powerful tool. It is often underestimated in a world that celebrates noise, quick opinions, and constant communication. Yet, when we pause and cultivate silence, we tap into a deep reservoir of strength that many overlook. Silence isn't merely the absence of sound, it is a presence, a space where clarity, understanding, and power reside. Think about the way conversations unfold around us. Usually, people rush to fill every gap with words. It's as if silence is uncomfortable, something to be avoided. We believe that if we don't speak, we lose control of the situation. But paradoxically, the more we talk without purpose, the more we lose control. We scatter our energy, reveal our vulnerabilities, and create openings for misunderstanding. When you stop talking, you allow yourself to observe without the distraction of your own voice. This observation is a form of power. The silent person listens deeply, not just to the words spoken, but to the emotions and intentions beneath those words. In those moments of quiet, you begin to see the bigger picture. You understand the motivations, the fears, and the truths that others might be missing because they are too busy trying to be heard. Silence creates space for reflection. When you constantly speak, your mind is cluttered with responses, rebuttals, and justifications. You are caught up in the cycle of reaction. But when you choose silence, you break that cycle. You step outside the immediate rush and allow your mind to process what has been said. This processing is where wisdom grows. It is where you discover the best way forward, not the most impulsive or emotional, but the one grounded in insight. There is a famous story about a wise teacher who would say very little. When questioned about this, the teacher explained that words are like arrows. Once released, they cannot be taken back. So one must aim carefully before speaking. Silence then is the act of aiming well. It's the pause before the arrow flies. In this way, silence is not weakness or passivity, but the preparation for impactful action. In practical terms, silence can give you a strategic advantage. In negotiations, meetings, or conflicts, those who speak less often hold the power. Their silence compels others to fill the void, sometimes revealing information or intentions they might have kept hidden otherwise. It also signals confidence. When you don't feel the need to fill every moment with words, you show that you are calm, composed, and secure in your position. Moreover, silence fosters humility. When we speak less, we remind ourselves that we don't have all the answers. This humility opens the door to learning and growth. We become students of life rather than lecturers. And in this role, we expand our understanding, improve our relationships, and increase our influence. The world's greatest leaders and sages have known this truth for centuries. They valued silence as a companion to action, a space where their minds could align with their purpose. In silence, they found peace amid chaos, clarity amid confusion, and strength amid challenge. Yet, silence is not easy. It demands patience, self-control, and the courage to be vulnerable. It requires resisting the urge to prove oneself or dominate the conversation. It means trusting that your presence, your thoughtful listening, and your considered words will speak louder than constant chatter. In a way, silence is a sacred space within us, a place where we meet ourselves beyond the noise. It's where we connect with our deepest truths, intuition, and wisdom. When we cultivate silence, we become more present, more aware, and more alive. So in every interaction, consider the power of silence. It is not just the absence of talking, but the presence of something far greater: awareness, strength, and the ability to truly win without saying a word. Talking less reveals wisdom. It is a simple truth that the more words flow freely from our mouths, the less depth and meaning those words often carry. When we rush to speak without restraint, we risk diluting our thoughts, confusing our message, or even revealing more than we intend. Wisdom, on the other hand, grows in the quiet spaces between words. It is nurtured in the deliberate choice to speak only when our words carry value and clarity. Consider how wisdom is often misunderstood as something grand and complicated, something reserved for the learned or the elders. But in reality, wisdom is as much about restraint as it is about knowledge. It is about understanding when to speak and when to listen. It is about recognizing that every word we utter has weight, and that this weight carries consequences not only for ourselves, but for those who hear us. When we speak less, we give ourselves the opportunity to think deeply before we respond. Instead of reacting impulsively, we reflect on what has been said, the context, and the feelings involved. This reflection allows us to respond thoughtfully rather than emotionally. Thoughtful responses come from a place of clarity and understanding. They are precise, meaningful, and impactful. In contrast, when words are spoken hastily or in excess, they often cloud the truth and muddle the message. There is a powerful link between talking less and cultivating a rich inner life. When we are silent, we turn inward and engage with our own thoughts and feelings. This inward engagement is essential for wisdom because it enables self-awareness and introspection. We begin to understand our own motivations, biases, and limitations. This self-knowledge is the foundation of genuine wisdom because it grounds our words in authenticity rather than ego or fear. In conversations, talking less can transform the dynamic. When we choose our words carefully and speak with intention, we command respect and attention. People naturally listen more closely because they know that when we do speak, it matters. Conversely, those who talk excessively often find their voices lost in the noise. They become part of the background rather than the focus. This principle extends beyond mere social interaction. In leadership, for example, talking less is often the hallmark of a wise leader. Great leaders understand that their role is not to dominate every conversation, but to create space for others to share, to listen deeply, and to guide with clarity when necessary. Their few words carry vision and direction, inspiring others to follow. They avoid unnecessary chatter because they know that true leadership comes from presence, example, and well-chosen words rather than constant talking. There is also a spiritual dimension to talking less. Many spiritual traditions teach the value of silence as a path to inner peace and enlightenment. When the mind is quiet and the tongue is still, we become more attuned to the subtle truths that often escape our noisy lives. Wisdom in this sense is a state of being as much as it is a quality of speech. It is the ability to align our thoughts, words, and actions in harmony with higher truths. Moreover, talking less invites humility. When we recognize that we do not have all the answers, we naturally become more cautious about what we say. This humility opens the door to learning from others, to expanding our perspective, and to growing wiser over time. It reminds us that the journey toward wisdom is ongoing and that silence can be a powerful companion on that path. Ultimately, wisdom expressed through measured speech becomes a source of strength and influence. It allows us to communicate with clarity, build trust, and foster deeper understanding. People are drawn to those who speak with purpose and integrity because their words carry the light of insight rather than the noise of distraction. Listening builds stronger connections. It is one of the most profound yet often overlooked ways we can nurture relationships and create meaningful bonds with others. In our fast-paced world, where everyone seems eager to speak their mind and be heard, true listening has become a rare and precious gift. When we choose to listen deeply and sincerely, we are not merely hearing words, we are entering into another person's world, understanding their feelings, their struggles, and their hopes. Listening is an act of love and respect. When you give someone your full attention, you are telling them that their words matter, that their experience matters, that they matter. This simple act creates a bridge of trust and empathy between individuals. It dissolves walls of misunderstanding and suspicion. Over time, this trust forms the foundation of any strong relationship, whether it be between friends, family members, colleagues, or even strangers. Often, when people communicate, they are more focused on responding than on truly listening. They listen just long enough to prepare their next statement or to prove a point. This kind of half-hearted listening, while common, does not foster connection. It creates distance because the other person senses the lack of genuine interest. On the other hand, when we listen with our whole being, heart, mind, and body, we are fully present. We allow the speaker to be heard without interruption or judgment, and in doing so, we honor their vulnerability. This kind of listening requires patience and humility. It means putting aside our own agenda, suspending our need to be right, and letting go of our assumptions. We listen not to reply, but to understand. And as we do, we begin to see the world through another's eyes. This shift in perspective is transformative because it opens us up to compassion and deeper connection. Listening also teaches us about silence, our own and the other person's. In silence, emotions often surface that words cannot fully express. Pauses in conversation are not empty, they carry meaning. When we allow silence to be part of our listening, we create a safe space for truth and healing. The speaker feels supported in their vulnerability, and the listener gains insights that might otherwise be missed in the rush to fill the silence with words. Strong connections built through listening extend beyond personal relationships. They ripple into communities and workplaces. When leaders listen deeply, they create environments where people feel valued and understood. This fosters collaboration, innovation, and a shared sense of purpose. Teams that practice listening are more resilient and adaptive because they are grounded in mutual respect and open communication. Listening also changes us internally. It quiets the ego, softens the heart, and cultivates patience. It teaches us that wisdom is not just about speaking well, but about receiving others with kindness and openness. Through listening, we become better learners and better human beings. Sometimes, the most powerful thing we can do for someone is simply to listen, to be fully present without rushing to fix, judge, or advise. In that moment, the act of listening itself becomes a healing force. It reassures the speaker that they are not alone, that their story matters, and that someone truly cares. In a world filled with noise, distractions, and endless chatter, listening stands as a quiet revolution. It is a way to break down barriers and build bridges of understanding. By listening more and talking less, we create the conditions for genuine connection and meaningful relationships that enrich our lives and the lives of those around us. Words can sometimes be your enemy. It is a paradox that something so powerful, something we use every day to express ourselves and connect with others, can also lead us into trouble. The very words that we think will help us win respect, solve problems, or make our point clear can sometimes backfire and create misunderstandings, conflict, and even regret. This is why learning to control our speech is not just a matter of etiquette, but a skill essential for true success and peace. When we speak without awareness, our words can betray our true feelings or intentions. In moments of anger or frustration, for example, we might say things we don't mean, words that wound others deeply and damage relationships. These impulsive expressions often arise from an unchecked mind, where emotions rule over reason. Once spoken, harsh words cannot be taken back. They linger in the hearts of those who hear them and can poison trust and goodwill. Moreover, excessive talking can reveal our weaknesses. When someone talks too much, They may inadvertently expose their fears, insecurities, or lack of knowledge. It's like a hand that reveals the cards before the game has even begun. People who talk less, by contrast, often maintain an air of mystery and strength. Their silence compels others to wonder and respect their inner world rather than quick judgments based on impulsive speech. Words can also be misinterpreted, no matter how carefully we choose them. Language is nuanced, and tone, context, and the listener's state of mind all influence how our words are received. Sometimes, the more we try to explain or defend ourselves, the more confusion we create. This is why silence or speaking sparingly can protect us from the pitfalls of miscommunication. It allows the message to be clear, simple, and open to understanding without unnecessary elaboration that might complicate matters. In many situations, words serve as a double-edged sword. They can build bridges or burn them. They can create peace or ignite conflict. This is why wise individuals choose their words with great care, like an artist selecting colors for a painting. Every word is deliberate, every phrase measured. This discipline in speech is not about being silent out of fear, but about speaking with power and precision. This control over speech also reflects control over the mind and emotions. When we learn to restrain our tongue, we cultivate patience and mindfulness. We no longer react impulsively but respond with calmness and clarity. This ability to pause before speaking is a form of inner mastery, one that protects us from unnecessary troubles and opens the door to more thoughtful, constructive conversations. In social and professional settings, this mastery over words can transform our relationships and reputation. People naturally gravitate towards those who speak with wisdom and restraint. They trust these individuals because their words carry weight and truth. Conversely, those who speak too much without listening or thinking carefully often lose credibility. Their constant chatter can be exhausting and off-putting, leading others to disengage. Beyond external interactions, words also affect our internal world. The narratives we tell ourselves shape our beliefs, emotions, and actions. Negative or careless self-talk can undermine our confidence and well-being. Learning to watch our inner dialogue and speak kindly to ourselves is as important as controlling what we say to others. In this way, mastering our words becomes a holistic practice that nurtures both our inner peace and outer relationships. Ultimately, recognizing that words can be our enemy teaches us humility and caution. It reminds us that silence is not empty, but a shield and a sanctuary. It encourages us to cultivate the discipline, to speak only when it serves the highest good, protecting our integrity and nurturing harmony in our lives. Winning is about control. This is a deeper truth that goes beyond the obvious sense of victory in competitions or debates. True winning, the kind that brings lasting peace and fulfillment, arises from mastery over oneself, over one's mind, emotions, and speech. When we speak less and listen more, we begin to exercise this control, which is the foundation of all true success. Control means having command over your impulses, especially the impulse to speak without thinking. Often, in moments of stress, excitement, or anger, our words become weapons or shields used impulsively to defend, attack, or impress. But such uncontrolled speech seldom leads to genuine winning. Instead, it creates ripples of misunderstanding, regret, and conflict. To truly win, you must first master the ability to pause, to breathe before you speak, to weigh your words carefully, and to understand the impact they will have. This control is not about suppressing yourself or being silent out of fear or passivity. It is an active, conscious choice to govern your thoughts and expressions. It means recognizing that the power of your words lies not in their quantity, but in their quality and timing. Speaking less doesn't mean you lack a voice. Rather, it means your voice becomes more intentional, more focused, and more respected. When you control your speech, you also control your mind. The mind and tongue are closely linked, and what you say often reflects your inner state. If your mind is chaotic, reactive, or unsettled, your speech will mirror that chaos. But when your mind is calm, clear, and centered, your words will naturally flow with wisdom and grace. This inner control, cultivated through silence and mindfulness, is the real victory because it transcends external circumstances. Control over speech also brings control over emotions. Emotions can be powerful and unpredictable. They can drive us to say things we later regret or cause us to react destructively. By choosing to speak less, you give yourself the space to observe your emotions without being overwhelmed by them. You learn to respond rather than react. This emotional regulation is crucial for winning in any arena of life, whether in personal relationships, professional challenges, or internal struggles. Moreover, the control creates a sense of presence. When you are not distracted by the need to constantly express yourself, you become more aware of the moment and the people around you. This presence allows you to engage more deeply and authentically. People are drawn to those who are fully present and composed because they radiate confidence and calm strength. In practical life, this control over speech and mind translates into better decision making. When you are not hurried by impulsive words or thoughts, you can consider options carefully and choose the best path forward. This thoughtful approach is the hallmark of leaders, thinkers, and peacemakers. They understand that winning is not about loud declarations or quick victories, but about steady, wise progress. The spiritual dimension of this control cannot be overlooked. Many traditions emphasize self-control as a pathway to liberation and peace. The victory over the restless mind and uncontrolled speech is considered a triumph over the ego, which is the source of much suffering and conflict. When you gain mastery over your tongue, you weaken the ego's hold and open yourself to a deeper connection with your true self. Finally, control fosters humility. It reminds us that we are not the center of the universe and that our words are not always the final truth. This humility invites openness, learning, and growth, which are essential qualities of true winners. It allows us to listen to others, accept feedback, and adapt rather than cling stubbornly to our own viewpoints.